So we have already learned how composable functions can have memory, and now we are going to explore using that memory to add state to a composable input field. So the input field has two main states, which I am going to show you through a slideshow. So this is the expanded state. When you write something, it will show you like this, and when the input field is empty, it will be like this. So the text field in a compose is stateless composable. That text field in compose just display whatever you tell it to, and issue events when the user types, but we need a stateful text field. So we have already made a stateful functions before in this video series, so we are going to do that again using the remember function. So let's make a stateful text field. So we need to open our screen function, screen file, and need to create a text input field. So let's do it here. So let's create a composable, and I am going to call it function to do input text field. And again it needs some parameters. So here we are just going to provide the modifier parameter, and we need a value here of text and set text one, which so now we are going to use remember function. Let's do that, remember, and we need to pass the function which is going to be a mutable list of mutable state of and we are going to just pass an empty string. So yeah, so this function use remember to add memory to itself, and then in the memory it store a mutable state of to create mutable of type string. So if we are struggling to understand that, it will turn this into this. It will basically turn the text into mutable of type string, which is built-in type of compose that provide an observable state holder. And then we need to call our to do input field that we created in our components. So let's do that. Yeah, this one that we created on components, and it's asking for the three parameters that we created in that component. So here we are going to pass, we are not passing anything yet, so we will just make it text, and on text change I think I imported the wrong to do input text. Let me check what was the name of the function to do input text. Okay, so it's on text change. Okay, let me Okay, we can call the set text here, set text, and we can pass the modifier. Yeah, we will do the settings later, all the settings. This is just we are passing the parameters here, and that's it. That's our stateful text input field. Now let's define another composable for to do item input, where we can set this input text field and our button. So let's do that. Composable function input, and we are going to pass a parameter for on item complete. And we are going to pass the typing. Oh, the spelling is wrong, so we will pass the data, and we need to pass it as a function, a void function. So the on item complete is just an event that will fire whenever an item is completed by the user, or whenever the typing is completed. So now let's create our we need a column. So column, and inside column we need a row where we can put our to do input text field. So for row we are going to provide some modifiers. Modifier dot padding, and we are going to give it a horizontal padding of 16 dp. So 16.dp, and we also need a padding on top. So let's do that. Padding for top equal to 8.dp, and that's our row. Now let's put some item in this row. So first item is going to be our to do input text. What was we made? I keep forgetting the name. To do input text field, this one, and here we need to provide the modifier. So let's provide a modifier for it. So modifier dot weight, we are going to give it 1f. So and we also need some padding. So padding dot for end 16.dp. Let's clean it up a little bit. Yeah, so weight and padding, and after that nothing, we it's done. The input field is done, and the next thing is going to be our button. So let's call our to do edit button that we created in the component. So it's asking for the on click parameter that we created in the component. So we are going to leave it that like just that, and we will provide the function for it later video. And for text, let's just call it add, and we need to give it some modifier. Let's do some formatting. So modifier, and let's align it sorry we need to align it to vertically, center vertically. So for that we need alignment dot center vertically, and our function, what was the name of the function? To do input function is ready. So what we are going to do is we are going to update our screen, where function screen. So just before the lazy column we are going to update our 2D screen function so that we can call the to do item input in the background of to do input background that we have already created in the component. So let's do that. So let's define our to do item input background, and where it's asking for the elevation, so we are going to make it true. And then we need to provide the modifier. So modifier equal to modifier dot fill max width, and inside this function we need to call our to do input. What was the name of the function? To do input. So we need to call here the to do input. Why it's showing 2, but they both of them are same, so let's call it here to do input. And we need to delete this and all the on item complete, and we just need to pass the on add item that we have already created. So I guess our input text field and button has been completed, and let's run it on emulator and see if it's working or not. So I'm going to launch our my emulator. Emulator has been launched, so hit the run button, and then I will come back when the build is ready, because it takes quite a lot of time in Jetpack Compose to launch the app on the emulator. And it has been launched, and you can see that we have our input field and the add button. So you can see that when we enter it, the background elevates a little bit of 1 dp. So that was the animation that we created in our component for animation. As soon as we get out from the text field, the animation went to, or the elevation went to 0. So yeah, it's ready, but I guess it does not work, the adding, because we did not make a method for adding. So that's what we are going to do in our next video. And yeah.